And our second dive into the DCAU, we're diving into the story that proves Gotham's biggest threat isn't clowns, mobsters, or billionaires with tons of free time. It's a scientist who skipped one too many HR safety meetings because nothing says classic Batman the Animated Series like a giant winged creature terrorizing blimps. Let's flap our way into On Leather Wings. Welcome to the Bat Signal Banter, where we sit down and talk about all the craziness that only happens in the DCAU. My name is Brandon. As always, I am joined by the fabulous Larry Legend himself, Darren Soto. Darren, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
And so today we're going to be, we've covered Cat in the Claw Part 1 and 2. Today, we're actually going to be covering the episode that was supposed to start the series. And then they changed it to what we covered in the last episode. We're going to be covering On Leather Wings today. Now, go over really quickly the cast for this. Kevin Conroy, of course, is the great Bruce Wayne Batman. Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon. Richard Mall as Harvey Dent. Lloyd Bochner as Mayor Hill. Robert Costanzo as Detective Bullock. Clive Revell as Alfred, which, by the way, he is only credited for 3 episodes with Alfred, and then it goes to Efren Zimbalist Jr. For the rest of the series. Mark Singer as Dr. Kurt Langstrom and Manbat. Renee, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Amber Jonas as Dr. March. Music as the female lab assistant, and Meredith McRae as Francine. Darren, we talked about this a little bit in the Cat in the Claw Part 1 and 2, that they changed it to the Cat in the Claw Part 1 to be the first episode because of the, pretty much to kind of capture that fandom right now at the point in time when Batman Returns came out with Catwoman. On Leather Wings was the first episode produced, and it was supposed to be the pilot episode, and then they changed it to be the second episode. How does this episode set the tone for Batman the Animated Series as a whole to you?
I feel like on Leather Wings is a perfect introduction to Batman.
Mhm.
Like, it gives you the detective side. It gives you the view that, like, the police and, like, the city of Gotham see Batman as. You see how you get that action, you get that grittiness, you get every feeling that you need to know what this series is going to be. I feel like On Leather Wings is a perfect pilot.
Right.
Like, showing that to any studio, you can understand why it was greenlit. Like, it's amazing.
Mhm. And that's the whole thing. Like, I feel, and I agree with you 110%. It's kind of the first time I feel like it was a great setup, especially I think one of the scenes, I know we'll kind of talk about likes and dislikes later on, but have that moment where Commissioner Gordon, Mayor Hill, Harvey Dent, and Bullock are in the same room. It kind of, like you say, it kind of gives you that perspective of the law instead of so much Batman. And that's what was kind of interesting through the whole episode. But not only that, this is kind of one of the first times you really see Batman actually be a detective. It
Mhm.
wasn't just, and it wasn't even just Batman, it was Bruce Wayne too. It was him going out and looking at things and being clever, like, oh yeah, I think I have a bat infestation in my house. I got this little
Yeah.
hair. Can you tell me what it is? Um, but it's one of those things, like, and I think we talked about too. I kind of still wish they went with this for the very first episode. I get why they went with the Cat in the Claw, with the whole Catwoman hype, but this to me set that tone so well that I feel like if they would have did it, I think the show would have probably been even more popular than what it is now, because you took characters and that was what's famous about this too, is they took characters that weren't as popular and brought them to light a little bit.
Yeah.
Man-Bat was a character that was created by Neil Adams, and even then, it's kind of a sideline character. Mr. Freeze, which we'll talk about in the next episode, again, kind of a funny villain until you get to the show, and then it changes everything. This to me would have been a great setup for me. I feel like I don't think it would have taken away the hype that we got from the show if they would have went with this as the first episode. What's your take on that? Do you wish this was the first, or are you glad they went with the decision they did?
I feel like this would be better as the first. I feel like canonically, like when you get to like DVD sets and everything, like this is the first thing you see.
Mhm.
So it's like, I understand where they were going from like a Hollywood perspective, but this definitely should have been the first.
Yeah.
Um, and it did because it just shows you everything that Batman is. Because the bat and the claw, like it shows you the romance side more than like who Batman is as a character, showing the like you said the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman both in the same
Mhm.
episode, showing you that we're not just going to see him as the Dark Knight, but also as the billionaire persona.
Right. And the Cat and the Claw, and that's why I think that's a good point to bring up too, is the Cat and the Claw does that as well with the whole billionaire thing, but that's where you saw him be a billionaire.
Hmm.
You didn't really see him still kind of being a detective as Bruce Wayne. Like,
Right.
like, hey, Bruce Wayne and Cat and the Claw is just like, oh yeah, I got my resources. I can get you a meeting. Hey, you want a meeting? Who do you want? What
Hmm.
time? That showed that billionaire side of them, but you never saw the detective side of them. And I feel like that's what's so great about this. And that's what I said, but I feel like we need to go to the highlight of this episode is Man Bat. Now,
Yeah.
how I want to address how we talk about this is not as a villain, but as a horror monster, a tragic villain.
Mhm.
What was your take on Man Bat through this whole episode?
I for Man Bat, like initially, like I love the mystery behind it,
Mhm.
like because it was just like it's not the first guy you think it is. It's not. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but like it's not the guy that you're gonna think it is. It's gonna be just like Scooby Doo. It's never the first person, but like, but overall, like the way that they were building up, like what bats were,
Yeah.
how their experimentation was going to influence the world and change everything, and you see the characters start to warp in that aspect, and then when you finally get the big reveal and see Man Bat
Yeah.
and you see that like Man Bat is what the police depict Batman as.
Mhm.
So for them to see both of them together in the duality of like Batman fighting for them versus Man Bat, the monster that they thought Batman was, it's just really cool to see that dichotomy.
And I agree with you. Like, when you get that whole, like, I think I said in the last episode too, when I saw Man Bat for the first time as a kid, I was terrified. That whole
Yeah.
transformation scene is iconic. Like that whole scene, it's in me, and he just has that creepy laugh.
Hmm.
And when Francine walks in, goes, Kurt, and you can see just like he's trying to help Batman. He thinks he's helping Batman by making him the serum. But in
Hmm.
reality, somebody had to test it, and he used himself as a test subject. And it became more of a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation where he couldn't control what would happen at that point.
Which makes sense.
I was reading something about this is that he was actually supposed to like go terrorize people and actually like off them compared to
Hmm.
just robbing drugstores and doing stuff like that. It was like when I was reading that, I was like, I think you made the right decision by not doing that, even though I think it would have made him creepy. But I feel like the purpose of him was that's why I wanted to address it this way, is that he's more of a monster. Being a monster does not always mean you're a villain. It
Yeah.
can mean many things. And in comics, he's now considered an anti-hero. He's not really a villain. He's not a hero, but he walks that line, it's
I can see that.
yeah. And for me, like just to see Langstrom and I like Langstrom through this whole episode. It's just, you can see that cleverness that, not cleverness, but like posture, that the way he talks to you is like he knows what he's doing, but he kind of has like a little air to himself, but in reality, he's struggling.
Yeah.
He's that, that's why I said, like, even one of the things I always liked is when you see Man Bat's shadow. And so the whole time you've seen him flying around the blimp, and then you see that shadow on the building in the beginning of the episode, you know, fun fact, Kevin Conroy was one of the guys that says, I swore he was one of the police officers in the blimp. He was
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
he was the one that actually said, I it had wings. He was that was Kevin Conroy. And so to see that, it's just fun to see because the way they did the art for it, the way, like I said, the shadow on the building is so creepy. It,
Yeah,
it
it builds onto what Batman the animated series like grows to be.
yeah.
Like it sets the tone.
And that's why I said, like, it's just one of those things that when you think about this episode and even their fight that ensues in the episode, it's just how he gets the cable around him and just flying through Gotham with him.
Right.
Like, even one of the other things I want to bring up, and you brought it up too, is like how even the cops don't even know if that's Batman or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even Commissioner Gordon was the only one that went, no, that's not him. But Bullock, Dent, which I always love Dent's scene because you see him flipping the coin right away. And it's kind of signaling who he's going to become. And
Who's gonna be?
and then gives me, and we'll talk about it in a later episode. The worst father of the year award goes to Mayor Hill. But we're going to talk about that in a later episode because that's in, I believe it's not Joker's favor. Be a Clown episode where he's at the birthday party of Mayor
Mm.
Hill's son. Worst dad ever. I don't like his character. He's caused some of our villains that we're going to see. But even through that whole episode, even Bullock, and that's kind of like the first time you really see Bullock like, you're mine, like he's going at Batman. He doesn't care what the evidence proves. His target is Batman,
Yeah.
plain and simple. And I feel like that, it's like you said too. I think that would have been such a great way to start the series because, and I think we talked about in Cat in the Claw, like when you get to Cat in the Claw, he's already an established hero. He's not in this episode. It's not that simple. Batman goes against the law. He's not so much against
Yeah.
the law, but he acts outside the law.
He's a vigilante.
Yeah, pretty much. Thank you. That was the word I was trying to look for. But going back to something we kind of already iterated a little bit, because this episode is by far one of the best episodes. You really see Bruce and Batman really be the detective it needs to be. Like,
Mm.
see how investigative they are. They go into the building with their little goggles and find the hairs they do, all that kind of stuff, and how he finds out all this information. I know we kind of iterated a little bit, but do you feel what you remember with this series and everything? Do you feel this is one of the better episodes with him showcasing as a detective, or do you think there are other moments that showcase him as a better detective?
I feel like there's a lot of good moments like spread out throughout the series. Like I can't name episodes off the top of my head right now, but like I do again as like an introductory, like this is perfect.
Mhm.
We see him go the detective route. We see him at his computer. We see him, like you said, going as Bruce, being like asking the questions about like, hey, I got these bats. Do these do this? And then him showing how knowledgeable he is about it himself. Like he went in there as someone like that. I don't know the answer, but I know more than you think I do.
Right.
So when they were like, "Oh, it's probably this kind of bat," he's like, "It's not those. It's not that sound. I know what those sounds are already. I'm just trying to see what you're gonna say to me."
And I always loved Dr. March in this episode when he's saying like, it's brown wing bats. What are you talking about? Like,
Mhm.
it's just like, hey, that's all you got. Call it an exterminator. Like it's like just
It's like, no,
no.
yeah, no, it's not.
You know what? I need a better exterminator than that. I need. But I agree. Like I think there are other good moments. Do I feel like this would be a top 5 detective moments for him? Probably in the show. I'd put it up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I can give it to her.
But like, would I put it as number 1? I don't know if I can do that.
No.
I think like we said, there's other great moments through the series that we see him be a better detective. This is just one of the big ones. Like we said, one of the scenes, and I'll talk about my likes, is when he puts that infrared thing on him. the little
Mhm.
visor, and he's just looking down, and just the way they animated that just looks fantastic. Just seeing how he's looking at everything, trying to see what's going on, it was such an iconic scene to me when I was a kid. But then you get the scene with Man Bat transforming, and I went, "I don't wanna watch this anymore." Like,
That I mean, that's fair, that's fair.
I remember as a kid when I watched that scene for the first time, I screamed in my mom's job. That is how bad it was, 'cause I was only 4 or 5 when I watched this episode, so I was, young, and when I saw that, I was like, "Uh." "Nope. Get away." But now growing up, and I just really appreciate that scene. That scene is just so iconic to me now that it's just like it's kinda like Mr. Freeze in this case, right? I don't see Man Bat being anything different than what they show in the show, and that's
Yeah.
just how it looks like. But one of the last big points I wanna bring up before we kinda go over the likes and dislikes that we had was kind of the whole like, to me, this is kind of one of the first episodes that I see more of an atmosphere and more of a city, you know? Like, we see it in Cat and the Claw, but this is kind of the first time where it's like we said, the flying scenes where you see more Gotham, the
Right.
blimp going up in the sky, more all that. It's just more like it's more the atmosphere and the surrounding areas being kind of one of the main key points in this episode, really showcasing the art and what this show will be known for from here on out. What was your take on just the whole surrounding, the setting, everything like that for this episode?
I think the setting was played very well
Mm,
because it showed us what Gotham was. It showed us the essence of the city, where it's just like you do have the affluent, you do have tech, but you still have like grunge, you still have that foreboding atmosphere
mhm,
in a sense. Like Gotham is a character.
right.
And that's how they built the scenery and they built the location up. And that's what I like about it, the many faces of Gotham, rather than, you watch a Batman episode, a Batman show, or like a Justice League episode, and you're just like, you just see that one crime alley, or you just see like disheveled streets. But now with this, you're seeing like, oh, there is a zoo, there is this area, there is this area. You're seeing like buildings where people are doing like science. You're seeing galas. It's giving Gotham
Mhm.
more body, so it feels like a real place.
Agreed. Like I that was kind of one of the main points because this was one of the things I really loved, plus the score for this. That was
Mm,
one of the big things because, like, for me, seeing the scenery, like I said, I know I keep reiterating, but the shadows on the buildings, it really kind of showcased a little bit more. The whole fight scene between Batman and Man Bat flying through the air, you saw the buildings, you saw Gotham as a whole compared to just seeing
right,
just there. Like you said, it's not just, oh, we're focusing on Crime Alley or it's this. It's
right.
you're focused on Batman and going through the city, you know, like rewatching it, that's where I feel like, and this might be a hot take, this is kind of where I feel like some of the, like the Arkham City, Arkham games really got a lot of that feeling from was through this from the show because the show really focused on the city. And this is not the first time we'll talk about the settings and everything like that in this because there are many episodes where the setting really takes place and really is like the main focus. It's not so much Batman, it's the setting. And
Absolutely.
going to the score is phenomenal for this episode. Like I said, the transformation scene, like the transformation scene can be horrifying as itself, but when you get that music playing with it, it's
Hmm.
way more horrifying, because again, it's that transformation Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde coming out, it's, but then like his scream, like his scream is so terrifying that it just like, oh, that's kind of clever how they did it. But even then, it's like that's what made this episode so great to me for this was the sound and for the atmosphere and the setting for this. But to go into our final points, Darren, what were some other likes and dislikes you had in this episode?
I feel like one of my big likes from this is it's again the duality of Batman versus Man Bat, but it's also like Gordon.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole time how Gordon was on his side without divulging anything, whereas like that's not the guy. Batman wouldn't do that. Like he's really trying to be like, listen to what I'm saying. I'm commissioner for a reason.
Mhm.
Even when Bullet goes above his head and goes to the mayor and everything, it's like the whole time he's sitting there, he's still helping in his own way because it's like he believes and trusts in Batman. He knows what's going on. So I really love that aspect of that. And like you said with Man Bat, like I love the play on horror
Mhm.
because it's like even as a kid, like I didn't like horror movies, I didn't like anything like that, but I like a thriller.
Mhm.
So having that happen as a kid watching it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like Batman the animated series had a lot of whoa, that's crazy moments, like overall for a child. So it's just like I don't know. I feel like it's a job well done. Probably again like a perfect pilot. Like
Mhm.
probably like Batman the animated series is probably the best superhero cartoon to be made.
Yep.
So that's why I'm like I have no I have no real dislikes for it for this episode because it's just so well done, very well thought out. I love the art direction, um, and the pacing. Like everything was solid for me.
Right. Like, I feel like, and I agree with you 110% there. Like, I feel like there's really no dislikes for me for this episode. To rewatch it for this, it was just like, just paying attention to certain points. It's just like,
Mhm.
there's no flaws here. This is just like you said, a thought out episode, a well thought out episode. You got, like you said, you got everybody involved. You kind of got to see not just Batman and Bruce Wayne, but you saw everybody through Gotham, the big shots, the
Right.
everything. Like you said, I really enjoyed, like, one thing I really appreciated in this episode is you kind of got that feeling of Batman Year One when you get the task force going after him and everything like that. Like, even though there were kind of a bunch of numbnuts in that episode, but like, and then they'd still fail. Um, Bullock, one of my favorite scenes with Bullock is when he pretty much Gordon's like, you can either come or not, I don't care. And he jumps like, wait for me. And he tries to jump up on the helicopter.
Hmm.
That scene always gets me. I love Costanzo playing Bullock, so it's always fun to watch him in that role. Um, but it's a sense of too, like you said, like I said, I think the big thing was the whole detective part of it,
Right.
really being the showcase and being the forerunner for this episode. And, like, even like, I love how this is where I fell in love with Alfred as a character in this series, is because he always has some of the best one-liners through this whole series. Like, not playing well with others now, does it sound like, like when
Mhm.
he's telling Bruce that, and it's just those fun moments that, like, we'll see, like when we talk about the last laugh, when you have that episode, it's like, I drew you a bath, and it's just him drawing a picture of a bath, and holding it up.
Mhm.
Those were just fun moments, but this is kind of where I fell in love with Alfred as a whole, because you could just tell he bounces off Bruce really well. And sometimes he even gives Bruce kind of a train of thought like, why aren't you thinking it like this way? Or why aren't you
Right.
doing this? And that's why I said, like, even then, like, Gordon, like you said, Gordon played a huge part of this episode. Even and Bullock did too. Like, all these characters just really mesh well, and the way it's stylized, the score, everything that goes with it. This is kind of where I say I think Warner Brothers screwed the pooch here, and they should have released this first. This, to me, I don't think the series would have lost any traction. I think it would have made it
Yeah.
even better. But not only that, this is the one episode to me that really showcased this show isn't for kids. It's more for teens and adults. This is not your typical Super Friends show. Like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, we're here to save the day. Oh, we got the Wonder Twins who could turn into a pail of water. This is this is creepier. This is more, you don't know. Like you said, it's not, it's more of a thriller. You don't know what's going to start happening. You don't know, like you said in the beginning of the episode, like people, it's not like Scooby-Doo where you can figure, oh, it's the first. No, it's, you don't know what's going to happen.
No. And that's where it's taking you out of your comfort zone, where you're like, it's a kid's show, but it's gonna show you why it's not a kid's show. It's gonna do everything to take that perspective you have and flip it.
Wait a minute. South Park isn't for kids? What? No. There's 4
I
kids there.
mean,
What are you talking about?
there are kids in it.
Yeah. It's Batman. It's all for kids. No, it's not. And that was what one of the big things for me for this episode was, is it set that tone. It's not for
Mhm.
kids. It's more targeted to teen, but who was more the target audience who would actually watch it? Kids and teens. Not really a lot of adults until later on. And then we kind of see them, oh, let's target kids with the new Batman adventures. And it's like, why? At this point, keep what you're doing. Even though some of
I
that stuff
mean,
is creepy still.
yeah, but you know, it has to become marketable. It has to become a toy. It has to become something that they can sell.
Now, Darren, I think this is a kind of a great way to go into our rankings of the episode. So on a scale of 1 to 10 bats, where are you putting this on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, I give it a 10. Like it's top 10 pilot. Like absolutely 100%.
Okay. I have it close. I have it at like a 9.7. I do enjoy it,
Okay.
but I do feel there are other episodes that rank higher for me. Um like I know the next episode we're going to talk about, I know that ranks higher just because of what it did for the series. And
I I know what you're talking about, and spoiler, that's also a 10 for me. It's just it's just a 10 in a different way,
agreed.
and that's how I view it.
Well, and I think that's a great way to put it too, because this whole series, it gives you those tones. Like you said, this was more of your thriller detective. Next one
Mhm.
is more sentimental and understanding, Bruce kind of understanding that maybe these villains aren't villains because they just want to do it. Sometimes they're pushed to that point.
Yeah. One bad day.
One bad day, other than Joker, because Joker's just pure chaos, but everybody else kind of has a bad day.
Joker's just super sane. That's why he does everything.
But I think that's a great way to head out of this episode. Fans, let us know what you guys think about on Leather Wings. Is this the episode that should have started off the series, or are you glad it was the second one to premiere? What do you think about Bruce Wayne and Batman being more of a central point as a detective in this episode? And what's your take as Man-Bat? It could be either as a villain, a monster, whatever way you would like to put it. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments. I want to thank Darren again for joining me on this journey. Darren, tell the fans where they can find you.
You can find me at orangeteastudios.com. You can find me at Orange Tea Studios on Instagram, as well as the Soto on Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. And remember to follow us out on Instagram and TikTok, because we'll be posting a whole bunch of stuff like this throughout the month to kind of get you guys hyped up for these episodes. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss our pretty faces. Well, Darren's face is prettier than mine, but you know. But as always, remember, may the DCAU always be the top of your discussion.